Ujian terbuka promosi doktor untuk Saudara Aries Utomo akan segera dimulai. Rektor, Wakil Dekan, Fakultas Pendidikan dan Bahasa, Promotor, Ko-Promotor, dan para penguji akan memasuki ruangan. Hadirin dimohon berdiri.
Kami Unika Atma Jaya, paguyuban Widiani, Universitas berasaskan Pancasila, cinta harapan bangsa, serentak dalam satu karya, amal ilmu dan pekerti, ikut membangun gereja nusa dan bangsa. Indonesia menjunjung tinggi citra dan mulia, jiwa tridharma perguruan tinggi, bersatu berpadu dalam sukanya, dalam dukanya, Atma Jaya. Kami Unika Atma Jaya, paguyuban Widiani, pengabdi cinta bangsa luhur dan berbudi, hidup Atma Jaya.
Menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya. Sebelum acara dimulai, Pastor Atma Jaya akan memimpin doa. Romo Stefanus Hari Yudanto PR, kami persilahkan.
Para Ibu dan Bapak, Saudari-saudara yang terkasih, mari sebelum kita memulai ujian terbuka doktor ini, kita awali dengan doa dan saya izin berdoa secara Katolik. Bapak dan Ibu yang berkeyakinan berbeda bisa menyesuaikan dengan keyakinan masing-masing. Mari kita hening sejenak. Dalam nama Bapa dan Putra dan Roh Kudus, amin. Allah Bapa yang Maha Kasih, kami bersyukur atas berkat dan karunia-Mu pada pagi hari ini. Kami bersama-sama Kau kumpulkan di tempat ini dalam rahmat kesehatan. Secara khusus kami memohon berkat-Mu untuk Saudara Aries Utomo yang akan memaparkan ujian program doktoral ini di Linguistik Terapan Bahasa Inggris Fakultas Pendidikan dan Bahasa. Semoga apa yang sudah dipersiapkan ini sungguh-sungguh dapat bermanfaat bagi banyak orang dan juga Engkau berkati para penguji, promotor, ko-promotor, dan keluarga serta hadirin yang hari ini hadir di dalam mendukung untuk karya-karya secara khusus di dalam misi pendidikan ini. Ya Tuhan, semoga hari ini Engkau bersama-sama dengan kami dan acara ujian doktor ini berjalan dengan baik dan lancar dari awal sampai akhir demi kemuliaan nama-Mu untuk Tuhan dan tanah air. Semua ini kami persembahkan ke dalam tangan-Mu dengan pengantaran Yesus Kristus Tuhan dan pengantara kami. Amin. Dalam nama Bapa dan Putra dan Roh Kudus. Amin.
Hadirin dipersilakan duduk. Hadirin yang kami muliakan, sidang ujian terbuka promosi doktor untuk Saudara Aries Utomo akan dibuka oleh Rektor Universitas Katolik Indonesia Atma Jaya, Bapak Profesor Doktor Yuda Turana, sp.S.K. Dan ujian terbuka akan dipimpin oleh Ketua Panitia Ujian Terbuka, Wakil Dekan Fakultas Pendidikan dan Bahasa, Ibu Priscilla Anindya M.Pd. Kami persilakan.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby officially open the public academic session for the promotion of the doctoral candidate of Applied English Linguistic, Aries Utomo. The examining board is composed of the dissertation advisor, Prof. Dr. Setiono Sugiharto, from Atma Jaya Catholic University of Indonesia, and the co-advisor, Dr. Ana Marieta da Silva, from Atma Jaya Catholic University of Indonesia, and three other examiners, Professor Dr. Susana Belju, from State University of Malang, Prof. Dr. Bambang Kaswanti Purwo, from Atma Jaya Catholic University of Indonesia, and Dr. Angeliana from Atma Jaya Catholic University of Indonesia. Now, I would like to invite the Vice Dean of Faculty of Education and Languages, Priscilla Andidita, to lead the public defense.
Aries Utomo, as the Vice Dean of Faculty of Education and Languages, I would like to ask you whether you are both physically and mentally prepared to defend your dissertation.
Yes, Ibu, I am.
Thank you. Now I'm going to read Aries Utomo's brief biodata. Aries Utomo works as an assistant professor in the English Literature Department, Faculty of Cultural Sciences, at Mula Warman University, Samarinda, East Kalimantan Province. Aries completed his bachelor's degree in English education at Borneo University, Tarakan in 2013, and his master's degree in English education at 11 Maret University in 2015. In 2021, Aries got a scholarship from Beasiswa Pendidikan Indonesia, BPI, to realize his dream of being a doctor of applied English linguistics at Atma Jaya Catholic University of Indonesia. His research interests primarily focus on linguistic landscape, language policy, second language acquisition, pragmatics, teaching methods, and literature for education. He has published several research articles in national and international reputable journals. Ladies and gentlemen, the exam will now start and will last for an hour. I would like to begin by asking Aries Utomo to present a summary of his findings entitled The reproduction of the affective regime in a multilingual linguistic landscape, a case of the two satellite cities in IKN Nusantara.
Thank you, Ibu. Well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom. Good morning, Bapak dan Ibu. The Honorable Bapak Profesor Dr. Yuda Turana, Director of Atma Jaya Catholic University of Indonesia. Ibu Priscilla Anindita, M.Pd, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Education and Language. Ibu Christine Manara, PhD, the Chair of the Doctoral Program in Applied English Linguistic. Bapak Profesor Dr. Setiono Sugiharto, my advisor. Ibu Dr. Ana Marieta da Silva, my co-advisor. Ibu Profesor Dr. Siu Sana Kuelju from Malang State University. Welcome to Atma Jaya, Ibu. Bapak Profesor Dr. Bambang Kaswanti Purwo and Ibu Dr. Engliana as my examiners. And then all audiences who are attending today, I'm incredibly delighted that all of you could come to my public defense this morning. Thank you. On these good occasions, before all of you, I would like to present my dissertation research entitled The Production or Reproductions of the Affective Regimes in A Multilingual Linguistic Landscapes, a case of these two satellite cities in IKN Nusantara. Well, I started from the introductions. Please. Well, linguistic landscape focuses on the study of public science, has gained increasing prominence among linguistics in recent years. Landry and Burgess, as visionary of linguistic landscape, defines linguistic landscape as the study of public science, advertising billboards, street names, place name, and commercial shop signs, which collectively form the linguistic landscape of a given territory, region, or urban agglomerations. Many studies on linguistic landscape have been published with various approaches and frameworks, such as diachronic studies conducted by Beckhaus, symbolic contraction by Ben Raphael, language contact by Hubner, English preferences in Jakarta conducted by Da Silva, and social cultural perspective in Malang by Kuelju. In this current study, I tried to conduct linguistic landscape study by involving affective regime perspective. It is the set of conditions that govern varying degrees of hegemonic status and the appropriate materialization of particular kinds of effects. These regimes emerge from the interaction between these conditions and the individual who encounter them, as highlighted by Lionel Wee. Several studies had been reported, like Terrorizing the Affective Regime in Education Policy by Jambilas, and Public Signages in Homonormative Space in Florida by Moschen Becher. Another perspective is also involved in seeing the impact of the affective regime, that is language policy. According to Sohami, language policy is concerned with how people communicate and how they choose to use language as a symbol to construct identities. Several studies had been reported related to linguistic landscape Islam. The first one, Language Policy and Socio-Historical by Lehman and Modans, Language Policy and Choice by Dunleavy, and Language Policy and Planning by Lott. Therefore, please, next slide. Therefore, attention must be paid to studying the production or reproduction of affective regimes of science and its effect on the local language policy in the multilingual linguistic landscape of Indonesia that have not seemingly explored before as the research goal. Therefore, this research seeks to investigate how affective regimes are produced or reproduced through signage in Samarinda and Balikpapan city as the establishments, and to examine their potential effects on local language policy in this city by utilizing Spolsky works, that is, language practice, management, and belief. Please, next slide. There are two research questions proposed post the current study. The first one, how affective regimes produce or reproduce in the linguistic landscape of Samarinda and Balikpapan. And the second one, in what ways does the production or reproduction of affective regime in the linguistic landscapes of these cities influence it by the local language policy? Next. Discussing methodology use, in this current study, I considered a qualitative study to use as research designs with a supplementary quantitative components to present the frequency of language distributions and respondent perspective. The other reason why I considered qualitative study, the first one, portraying a social setting, second one, offering a detailed description of the reality of the research participant, and third one, focusing on the linguistic landscape of public space. Next. This is my research area around IKN Nusantara. There are two cities considered to be research area. There is Samarinda and Balikpapan. Several reasons to choose Samarinda and Balikpapan. The first one, key entry points to IKN Nusantara. Second one, Samarinda is the capital city of East Kalimantan province and is known for its significant role as political, economic, and cultural center in the region. And third, Balikpapan is the largest business and industrial city on Kalimantan Island and serving as a key economic hub. And the last one, studies of linguistic landscape are still lack in both cities. Please, next. Therefore, from consideration of Samarinda and Balikpapan, there are 6 establishments to collect the data. In Samarinda, I consider shopping mall in Samarinda Central Plaza, shopping precincts in Citra Niaga, in the market in Pasar Pagi. While in Balikpapan, I considered to take data in Plaza Balikpapan, in shopping precinct Plaza Kebun Sayur, and the market in Pasar Impres Kebun Sayur. Next. In this current study, there were 4 research instruments used. The first one is photograph. I collected 1,532 signages from the 2 cities. And second, the questionnaires. There were 60 respondents who participated in completing 62 questions, the questionnaire from various ages, origins, and occupation. The third interview, I conducted semi-structured interview involving 13 participants from policymakers, public figures, scholars, and owners of sellers. The last is documents. I collected several documents regarding to language policy from Language Office of East Kalimantan, local governments, and the website of the central government. Discussing data source use, I divided into 2. The first one, primary data, I collected from photograph of signages in the established sample. And then secondary data to support the primary data, I collected from interview, questionnaire, and document related to language policy regulations. Next. Discussing technique analysis use for data collection, I used a 5-phase cycle proposed by Yin in 2015, started from compiling the data and then continue to disassemble data to select, categorize, and label this data. After that, I started to reassemble data to compose this label data into established form, and then continue to interpreting this data, and the last one, constructing conclusion and findings for this current research. Next, this is my findings. You can see in the slide, in Samarinda and Balikpapan, several affective regimes are found. In Citra Niaga and Plaza Bunsai, I found a affective regime of informative, promotion, and identity. In the market, Pasar Pagi and Pasar Impres Kebun Sayur, I got informative and identity. While in the shopping mall, that is Samarinda Central Plaza and Plaza Balikpapan, I got production of affective regime of informative, promotion, and 1 reproduction of affective regime that is semi-formal. Well, let me explain briefly about the affective regime of informative. Affective regime of informative could be explained from the cognitive, performance, behavior, and the locations. From the cognitive, please slide. In this establishment employ a variety of language elements that work together to provide clear information. The second, performance. The signs are designed to be highly informative, using carefully selected fonts, size, and images to enhance clarity and visibility. The third, behavior, encourage clear and informed decisions. They provide essential details such as the location of the food. And the fourth location, the signs are strategically placed to ensure visibility for all visitors. In addition, the address, phone number to contact are also put on the signs. It is also supported from the respondent perspective. From the questionnaire, the majority of the respondents indicate that the sign predominantly produce the effective regime of informative. It is supported by the information provided on the signs, which typically include details such as types of products sold, addresses, phone numbers, and other relevant contact information. This finding aligns with my analysis in Citra Niaga, Pasar Pagi, Samarinda Central Plaza, Plaza Balikpapan, Plaza Bunsai, and Plaza Impres Kebun Sayur. The next, effective regimes of identity. From cognitive indicators, signs in this established sample often incorporate designs that reflects identity, such as using the shop owner names and dia carving and traditional instrument as a representation of Dayak identity through handicrafts sold in the shops. Second, performance. The signs show the design of these signs, priorities, clarity, and simplicity, making the core message easily accessible to broad audience. The third, behavior. The signs are specifically designed to attract visitors, both local and non-local. And the fourth, location. It is critical in making the shop more accessible and visible. The addresses and contact information are prominently displayed on the signs. It is supported by the respondent perspective. The majority of them indicate that the sign primarily produce effective regime of identity. This is achieved through the use of the owner's name as shop names, then incorporation of Dayakness ornaments. Consistent with my photograph analysis presented in this area of Citra Niaga, Pasar Pagi, Plaza Bonsai, and Pasar Impres Kebun Sayur. The third is effective regime of promotions. Cognitive indicator, design employ various language objects related to promotion in both English and Indonesians. The second, performance indicator, the design is visually appealing, utilizing persuasive language and engaging image to support the promotional message. The third, behavior, the signs are intended to influence the potential customer by highlighting special offer. And the fourth, location, design do not specify location. They are strategically placed in front of the shop, ensuring visibility to passerby. From the respondent perspective, the majority of respondents indicate the signs are categorized as effective regime of promotions, as evidenced by the use of promotional language, discount and special price in several shops. This aligns with the analysis found in Citra Niaga, Samarinda Central Plaza, Plaza Bonsai, and Plaza Balikpapan. The last is effective regime of semi-formal. This is actually the reproduction in the linguistic studies. From the cognitives, design displays various types of language related to regulations. From the performance, the design employs larger font sizes along with specific colors, figures, and fonts to visually represent the regulations. Behavior indicator, all of designs are intended to be followed by visitor. And the last, from the location, design are strategically placed in high traffic, visible areas such as escalator, entrance gates, and exit gates. It is also supported from the respondent perspective. The majority of them indicate the sign reproduce the effective regime of semi-formal by displaying various warning and caution in specific area. This finding aligns with my petrographic analysis in Samarinda, Central Plaza, and Plaza Balikpapan. And then the next slide, discussing respondent perspective on linguistic items. The majority of respondents very agree with the statement given, such as based on the M and functions, font and size used, and meaning can be comprehended. Therefore, it can be said that linguistic and non-linguistic items had important to shape production or reproductions of effective regimes in one area theoretically. The next slide about owner-seller perspective for naming shops. There are several questions proposed to the seller or the owners for shop name choice. Both seller in Samarinda and Balikpapan use family names or based on owners' ideas. The second one, for language choice in Samarinda, it is targeted to domestic visitor and prioritizing Indonesian language for naming shop. While in Balikpapan, language choice is remarkable and most people know English, meaning if they use English for naming shop. For design choice, in Samarinda, sellers tend to use Dayak ornaments for design of signs and depending on the designer to make it attractively. It is similar in Balikpapan, design as representation. The last one is effect expected from the signages is to attract customer, easy to memorize, and more famous. And then the next slide discussing about the research question. Effective regime produced or reproduced in the linguistic landscape of Samarinda and Balikpapan. Linguistic and non-linguistic elements, the production or reproduction of effective regime might indirectly involve human emotion, as highlighted in this current study. It is supported by Hawkins and Whiting state emotion are understood as bodily sensations or feelings that emerge through rapid cognitive process which utilize retrieval system to inform memorized institution and inclinations. Discussing effective regime of informative, signages is predominantly produced in both Samarinda and Balikpapan, this effective regime tends to convey clear and objective information about goods for sale, store addresses, phone numbers, social media accounts, and well-known local and international brands. Discussing identity effective regime, it is not only featuring shop names that incorporate the owner's names, but also include local symbols that reflects the distinctive cultural identity of the shops. Discussing reproduction of effective regime of semi-formal, this effective regime was identified in linguistic studies as a sign produced in the form of requests, often more exhortative by an official body or group of representatives. The last, discussing effective regime of promotion, it highlights the complex interaction of emotion, values, culture, ethnics, and rules that influence consumer perception and behavior in the marketplace. Therefore, it can be cited in the next slide. In my view, the primary function of design is to persuade consumer by highlighting special conditions such as discount, limited edition, or time-sensitive offer. In other, it is seller or owner's creativity, and second one is showing owner's identity like found in Citra Niaga, Pasar Pagi, Pasar Impres, Kebun Sayur, and Plaza Bonsai. And the last one, it persuades and ensure people with special conditions. Like I have explained about discount, special price, and limited editions. The next slide discussing the findings of language policy in Samarinda and Balikpapan. Based on the findings of the study, interviewees from the government of Samarinda and Balikpapan, language policies in this city still implement the national regulation and one regional regulation of language policy. The implementation and supervisions of the language policy are conducted by Language Office in East Kalimantan. You can see in my slide, several language policy regulations have been collected, representing a sequence, a legal document declared over the years. The first significance regulation from the Ministry of Home Affairs, Regulation number 40, provided the guidance on the preparations and development of national and local languages across Indonesia until the current regulation in the provincial level of East Kalimantan, number 8, 2023, about the guidance and protections of vernacular and local literature. The next findings about language practice in Samarinda and Balikpapan. The next slide, language practice in the established sample from both Samarinda and Balikpapan city appears to be largely influenced by marketing strategies and current trends, particularly the use of English on the signs. Please, next slide. There is also underlying factor of global capitalist influence, a lack of confidence in using the local language for business, and some flexibility granted by local governments' regulations. From the language management, in managing language use, the Language Office of East Kalimantan and Government of Samarinda and Balikpapan implement several programs that aim at promoting the national language, that is Indonesia, and preserving vernacular languages like Dayak, Banjar, Kutai. This program includes socialization effort, the reinforcement, regulation, and initiative to preserve local languages. From the language beliefs, in societies of Samarinda and Balikpapan, language is considered the primary tool for daily communications. It is spoken in Indonesia, various vernaculars like Dayak, Banjar, Kutai, Bugis, as well as foreign languages, English. This is evident in the implementation of English and language policy within society, including the growing dominance of foreign languages as preferred choice. The next slide showing discussion for the second research question. In the language practice, it has been explained that the data obtained through interview with policymakers in Samarinda and Balikpapan indicate that language is often employed for marketing purposes to follow trends due to capitalist influences from abroad in response to lack of confidence, with the use of the foreign language like English being an exception. Shohemi argues that the language in the public domains play a critical role in shaping the facto language policy. It is supported with Chenos and Garter. The use of English in signages, particularly in commercial text, offers economic benefit by increasing sales. From the language management discussion in the next slides, the findings suggest that the implementations of language policies in Samarinda and Balikpapan has not been fully effective due to several challenges. The first one, a lack of public awareness. The second one, insufficient coordination among stakeholders, lack of confidence in labeling product, and the last one, there is no reward or punishment. However, authorities keep trying to socialize the language policy, regulation, enforcement, and vernacular preservation. It is supported by Spolsky's argument. As a key component of language policy, language management involves explicit instruction and observable efforts to control language choice. The next slide discussing language belief. The findings show that English and other foreign languages like Arabic, Japanese, Korean are used on mono, bi, or multilingual in both cities. Most people still speak Indonesian language as the national and daily communication, while English is still positioned as a foreign language for certain purposes, such as in business. Sugiharto argues, when language moves to a new region, those who live there may borrow, remake, repose, and even localize it. And Kwalju sees this phenomena, the use English in society is a homegrown language. And from the explanation, I propose one integrated models that explain how production or reproduction of effective regimes and language policy runs. It starts from the language policy, which directly influences the creation of signages, please show it, of signs and designs, in turn affect the production or reproduction of effective regime based on the prevailing situation. Then human actor, whether visitor or customer, are directly affected by the productions or reproduction of the effective regime except by the language choice on the signs. This sign provide the information expected by seller and influencer customer perceptions. Additionally, humans play indirect role in language policy, implicit by three elements of language policy which vary depending on their positions in society, whether they are policymaker, expert, influencer, or member of grassroots communities. It means that they have influence to language policy, but indirectly. So, from those explanations, I can conclude for the first research question, the reproduction of effective regime in the linguistic landscape of Samarinda and Balikpapan are influenced not only by linguistic elements and non-linguistic factor, but also by human emotion and perception toward the signages or information presented. There are three effective regime found. What I have explained, there are informative, identity, and promotion, and one reproduction that is semi-formal. We can see from the instance, for people are often drawn to PC shop due to factors such as discount, popular brands, or well-known shop name, or another explanation following instruction when inside certain area, like no smoking or outside food and being prohibited. The second conclusion of this current research in the next slide show the productions or reproduction of effective regimes is more significantly influenced by language policy than vice versa. Please, next slide. Language policy encompasses language practice, which refers to use of local, national, and international languages in the naming shop and advertisements. From the management, it involves national and regional policies that guide the implementation of local language policies in the two cities, and believe public perception of language as a medium for business communication and adherence to government regulation regarding language use. So the next slide will give several suggestions to government and policymaker. It's time to evaluate ineffective language policy regulation. The second one, keep doing socialization. And the last one, implementing reward or punishment is suggested. For the language office, still promoting linguistic diversity in public space, improving cooperation with stakeholders and society, keep doing language preservation. And for the next researcher, this current study could become a basis for constructing future study. For examples, researchers could build up this work to explore new trends and issues in applied linguistics, sociolinguistics, and language teachings, as well as investigate the impact of language policies in other regions or countries. Last slide. This is the end of my presentations. Thank you for your attention and listening. I would be grateful to receive constructive comments from all examiners. Once again, thank you and alhamdulillah. Back to Professor Yuda. Thank you.
Thank you, Aries Utomo. Ladies and gentlemen, each of the five examiners will now ask questions. I have the honor to invite Professor Dr. Susana Quelju as our external examiner to pose the first questions.
Thank you. Dr. Aries, I'm so happy to be your external examiner.
Yes.
Examining me today. Actually, I have already asked you a lot of questions.
Yes, thank you.
I hope I do not run out of questions now. Or if the president of the university allow you to do so, perhaps you are going to ask me questions instead. All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, my questions are related to your research questions. Your first research questions, if you allow me to read it, how are affective regimes produced or reproduced in the linguistic landscapes of Samarinda and Balikpapan? At least now, I am an imaginary visitor of Balikpapan and Samarinda. So, you use the verb produce.
Yes.
It is possible for the verb produce to be intransitive. So the word produce can be two-place verbs, right? But in this context, I think it is more appropriate for the word produce to become a three-place verb. It means an object. If you need an object, or at least I want you to put an object to make it clearer for the readers, how can you revise the question? For example, maybe, how are affective regimes produce or reproduce ideology in the linguistic landscapes of Samarinda and Balikpapan, or something else? What is the object?
Okay. Thank you.
Rather than we say produce or reproduce. What?
Okay, thank you. From the ideology to produce or produce, I still rely on the, Tompkins' ideas and lineology, especially to produce or reproduce the affective regime with the cognitive and from the cognitive, from performance, behavior, and locations. So regarding about the the ideology of the people when see the the signages, yeah, actually it needs background knowledge, how to analyze the signages. For example, like discount, when we see the discount, oh, this is a good time to to visit or shopping, like that.
All right. Okay. Perhaps next time.
Yeah.
Next time, after the examination,
Mhm.
you can find a particular word to be the object, to make your research questions clearer.
All right.
Maybe you are free to do so. All right. Now, still number one.
Number one.
Let me read again, yeah?
Yes.
How are affective regimes produced or reproduced in the linguistic landscapes of Samarinda and Balikpapan? So, firstly, I'm talking based on semantics. The linguistic landscapes over there is actually the object of preposition in. Okay? In the linguistic landscapes. But according to me, particularly after reading this work, the one 2016, the one used as your theory, based on the idea from that paper, I think it is not only in the linguistic landscape, but linguistic landscape over there is actually an event. Okay, not only a place, not only a location. So semantically, it is not only a location, but it is also an event that provoke, that invoke affective regimes. So, do you still use the prepositional phrase in the else, or you want to revise your question to show that this linguistic landscape is actually an event instead of only a location that allow this affective regime to play its role?
Okay.
Because if you read this work, this does not actually talk about affective regimes. What it talks about is linguistic regimes. Because regimes can take place in anywhere and any context, not only affective regimes. But now you adopt affective regimes, but affective regimes is different from linguistic regimes. Do you have anything that you can
Oh, yeah.
show that?
Thank you for the response.
this
Yeah,
proposition is-
regarding about the affective regime and linguistic regimes, like you have explained, yeah. Okay, in this current study, actually, I just focus on how the affective regime produce or reproduce. I don't make it broader like semantic or pragmatic. So I have to make a limitations from the affective regime. And I ever said, discuss it with the Lionel, we explain, through email. Yeah, I ever email Lionel, we discussing about the affective regime. Lionel, we actually did not explain specifically how to analyze it, but he said that you can see in my my paper, and there are several indicators that can be used, like cognitive performance, behavior, and the location itself. I combined with the Tompkins idea about the affective regimes of consciousness in this book, like that.
Okay. So you said about it.
Yes.
It really needs contemplation
Yes.
from different perspectives.
Yes, that's right.
Particularly, you are doing applied linguistics, so linguistics must be there. Next, still related with that one, but now I can combine it with number 2.
Number 2.
Still related to my previous question. In what ways does the production or reproduction of affective regimes in the linguistic landscapes of the cities influence or is influenced by local language policies? Well, you said influence and is influenced. It's very difficult perhaps for some people
Oh.
to understand that these affective regimes influence local language policies. It is much more, I think it's much easier for me, or perhaps some other people who agree with me, to see that this affective regime is influenced, not influenced, is influenced by the local language policies, because affective regime is actually embedded, resides in local, in any kinds of regulations or laws, but not to influence, but it resides, it's embedded, it's part of. What do you think?
All right. Thank you for the question, Bu. Okay, based on my data findings from the language policy, why I considered the language policy, the signages is influenced by the local language policy. Based on my interview with the owners and sellers, and including from the government, they argue that the government actually, they had considered several local regulations to regulate about the language use. But in fact, actually, there are resistances from the owners or sellers to to use the regulation, because of they have a lack knowledge about the regulation, and second one, they have a right, which one the best for them to use for naming shop. That's the main problem, the main phenomena found in Samarinda and Balikpapan.
Yes.
That's why I considered actually theoretically signages should be influenced by the language policy to regulate how to write, for example, using a shop sign using English or Indonesian, based on the grammar, maybe based on the KBBI, or based on ejaan yang disempurnakan, like that. But in fact, we can see in the society, they have no idea about that. We have a right. That's why we can see this is like Sohami said, this is the factor of language policy, where there, the factor language policy, although there are many regulations published by the government, but they still resistant from the society to use the regulations. That's it, maybe.
Yes, Papa. Perhaps after this.
Yes.
Think about it again.
Yeah.
You are your scholar.
Thank you.
Next. This is also related to this one. You said that you believe that it is to influence. Based on what? Based on my interview. That is what you said, right?
Yeah.
This is what you said. You said just now. Based on your interview, you collected
Mhm.
data from the people over there. So you believe it.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid it can be a speculation if it is only based on your interview.
Oh.
You need to have some kind of theory to show that affective regimes can actually influence regulations. In this case, local language policy. At least you need to have some references, some theory to support that. Otherwise, it becomes kind of speculation. Because according to my reading, maybe my reading is quite limited, affective regime is actually embedded besides within, but it cannot actually influence. So I think it is good if it happens that you find theory to show that affective regimes can actually influence regulations instead of being influenced. Thank you. You are so sweet. Thanks.
Thank you.
It seems to me, whenever we wrote this paper, 2016, he wrote this way. They are doing this so that, they are doing this so that, I do this in my analysis so that. Why I ask you this question? Because in both your research questions, you are talking about, you are questioning about, number one, how. Number two, in what ways. If we have questions starting with the question with how and in what ways, so it must be at least explanatory. It should, what is that? Reach the so-called explanatory adequacy instead of descriptive adequacy. If I read your conclusion in this book and in the full-blown draft, seems to me your work is descriptive.
All right.
You categorize here, categorize here, categorize here. Classify here, classify there. Descriptive. Although I got a lot of interesting data in your findings. Very rich. did that in your finding, why don't you write it in the conclusion in order that you can meet this explanatory adequacy by showing, I find it this way, this is what they are doing. I can see the contrast, the deduction, the comparison here, the reduction here, the expansion here, so you are doing, so you clearly answer your own question, how and in what ways. But presently, maybe I'm not a good reader. What I discover is that your work is only to meet the descriptive adequacy, what, instead of at least showing a little bit of explanatory adequacy of how, why like this, or how, and in what ways. Okay?
Okay.
So you can show us the regulatory here, the repetition here, reduction here, so that I conclude like this. And this one, the last one, because the president will be very angry if I continue and continue. The last one. This is on page 37,
Okay.
and in the e-book, page 50. You wrote, first, the production and reproduction of affective regimes in the LLs of Samarinda and Balikpapan are influenced not only by linguistic elements, that is, mono, bi, or multilingual language settings. So, mono, bi, or multiple language settings are actually not linguistic elements. What are actually linguistic elements? Linguistic elements can be the phonology, morphology, and so
Oh,
on,
I see.
but not language settings. Mono, bi, or multiple language settings. Okay. It is more like the, if you ask, what do you know about language? Oh, language is for communication, language can be like this, but not within the so-called linguistic elements. If you talk about linguistic elements, okay, everyone knows. You talk about morpheme, and also some little things also that is maybe I am wrong. I'm very interested in your biography because I think that you're still very, very young,
Yeah.
almost the same age of my own daughter.
Okay.
You have how many children?
Three.
Three.
Three children.
Three what?
One son and two daughters.
So you have three what?
What is it? Excuse me.
So you have three what?
Three children.
Three children.
Three
Why do
childs.
you write here three childs?
Three child. Sorry. Three child.
You must write three
Yeah.
children.
Three children. Yeah.
Yeah, but you here you write three child.
Three child. I
Yeah.
think children is what is it? Plural. Plurals different with what is child. As far I know from what I have read, so I have to make a distinct with about children and child.
Oh.
Yeah.
So why do you write child here? I'm learning from you.
Excuse me.
Why do you write child here?
Yeah, it shows the what is it, the quantity of child what I have.
Oh.
Yeah, the quantity, because the children in my what I have read, children is in the form of plural, while child is singular.
Oh, if you want to quantify, you say three child.
Yes, three childs to make sure about the quantity.
Oh.
So we can use childs,
You don't say three children. But
not
three childs.
children. Children, I think, is plural.
You see, you are a real doctor.
Yeah.
I'm learning from you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Professor. Would Professor Dr. Bambang Kaswanti Purwo, the second examiner, now pose your questions?
Thank you.
what interests me most in in this one is one word that you wrote in 8 times in your dissertation. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Resistance. So government policy, regulation, and then facing resistance.
Yes.
And from the business.
Yes.
Business owners. In writing language in public space.
Yes.
Yeah, this is interesting case.
Yeah.
And I would like to focus on how you, the signaling of resistance, you use resistance is between two parties, right?
Yes.
This is
Resistance
the government
and the society.
and the,
Society.
yeah.
Yeah, resistance. What is it from the regulation of the government produced with the society?
And these two parties
Yes.
have the different interests.
Different interests. That's right.
Interest, right? But use the term resistance is something against.
Yes. Thank you.
Use the word opposition also.
Yeah. Opposition.
Resistance, opposition, and also protest.
Protest.
Now, what is this? What is how would you? I'm thinking about the word to describe these two.
Oh, maybe I
Is it
can
really a
say
protest?
objection. Maybe
Is it a protest also?
protest. Protest. Yeah. They sometimes they make a protest through social media. The social media. I ever interviewed with one staff in the government of Samarinda. They said that they ever make a regulation. For example, like using the name of ayam ganja. Ayam ganja in the name has a negative meaning actually in the society. So Samarinda government has made a regulation about the use of the languages. But in society there is objection about the regulation. They said that what's important, what role the government to regulate us to use what is it, ayam ganja. That's our choice. That's our right to use the name. Maybe that is the lucky for us using ayam ganja. So what important? What role of the government to regulate about the use of the shop names like that?
But you also know that somewhere because they don't know.
Yes, they don't know.
The person of the regulation. Some
Yeah, the
people
regulation
don't know.
actually.
Or they don't care.
They don't care,
They don't
like-
know. They don't care. Or they just ignore them.
Both of them, I
Yeah,
think,
that's it.
don't care and
Just
ignore them.
Do what they want. So this is because they have the so-called you wrote that marketing strategies. Right?
Yes, marketing strategies like that.
And it's just a protest. I don't understand
Yeah.
the protest.
And from
Again,
the
in the form of language, right?
yes, the language. Just additional information in government of Balikpapan argue that if we want to make what is it like punishment or regulation, like what I have explained to you about the punishment especially, it needs a big what is it fund, and we have to make indicator. What indicator to regulate the use of the language, naming, and so on. That's why it is what is complicated. Yeah. So we just make a regulation to follow in national regulation like that.
So,
Yeah.
and I think it's not all languages in the marketing strategy
Yeah.
in public space that are opposing. Some of them are not opposing, right?
Yeah.
So they cannot. There are not every language in the public space are resisting.
Yeah.
Some, I don't know how many. So I think it would be interesting for your study later on to see
Yes.
what kind of language in public space that really opposing or resistant. And sometimes that they also create following the regulation, right? I saw in Jakarta, I don't remember some beautiful Indonesian expression
Yeah.
in public space. No English, but this is something created by the
Government.
the marketing, the
Yeah.
business owners, right?
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see not all languages in Paris are opposing, are resisting, right? So that's just for your future further research for your work here to find sample in Kalimantan. For example, in Java, for example, that's not the problem of that faced by the business owners. If they have no residences, you have to give a name to it, right? In Japanese, you can with the riverside, but in Japanese you can say complex pinggir kali. It's a pinggir kali is local language, right? Now the choice between pinggir kali, adopt the vernacular, using the vernacular, and riverside using the English language. So I think for the sake of promotion, it is more attractive to
Yes,
use
more attractive.
riverside than pinggir kali. I don't know example in Kalimantan. You can see things like this one. What kind of invention by the they don't have the solution.
Yes, they know.
They're giving the name, just speak English. No? But then we can help them by thinking. So it's a matter of working together, the two parties, and linguists can play a role in this area. Yeah? So you could also Professor Sakwel just pointed out the
Homegrown language.
homegrown language,
Yes,
right?
homegrown language.
Yeah, so this is creating homegrown language.
Yes, there's a
How
phenomena
how
because
these two languages that one's promoting the business, the other's promoting the language and the local and vernacular, right? And they can join, or they can the linguist will be the mediator in this position, so that they will be. And I think you also mentioned the language adapted, and localized also, right?
yes,
And you also mentioned language, the borderless. Borderless, it's a trust language,
Yeah.
right? So this area of this movement in borderless language can also be one of those. I'm thinking about the solution. The solution of so there will be no resistance, no opposition, or no protest in between these two parties. Because the government, if they create the local and the regulation, the only thing on their side. So they should be. I think that's part of your challenge for your future research. Yeah.
yes, thank
And
you.
you want to, because Kalimantan we have the IKN.
Yeah, IKN.
It will grow. The business properties will grow fast there, and I think that this will be what will be happening in your area.
Yes,
Challenge for you to this is a starting point for doing the next research. Interesting point. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
thank you, Prof, for the response. Yeah, maybe after getting these doctoral programs, yeah, I have several missions, yeah, to make further studies, especially focusing on linguistic landscape, maybe in IKN Nusantara. Yeah, why I still choose Samarinda and Balikpapan for this current study, because IKN still under constructions.
Yeah.
Yeah. As administratively, I don't have permissions to get data over there.
Yeah.
Maybe next time, because my office, Mullah Warman University, had made cooperations with the IKN. So I think it is a big chance, opportunities for me to to find out, to conduct a research like you have suggested before.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Congratulations for the finding in your dissertation. That
Yes, thank you.
it should not stop here.
Yes,
Should end here.
I promise it.
This is very, very interesting issues in the coming for the future, right?
Right.
The growing IKN.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I now invite the third examiner, Dr. Engliana, to ask questions.
Thank you, Bu Priscilla. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Pak Aries.
Thank you, Ibu.
You have reached this stage.
Yeah.
I would like to confirm again about the conceptual model, or integrated model. You mentioned here as an integrated model of production and reproduction, of affective regime and language policy. So if you don't mind, could you please show the slide? Yeah. Well, yeah, while waiting for the slide of the model, so I hope so everyone can see on the screen. So, right. So my question is that this is actually the goal of your study, right? You're producing model. So do you think that this model is applicable in terms of quote unquote reading linguistic landscape in most cases in big cities or probably small or developing cities at the moment?
Yes, I think it is applicable with another areas, like you have said, like big or small cities. But we have to see again about the data found in the cities, whether is it suitable or not. Yeah, especially about the indirect influence from the human to the language policy
True.
itself. Because according to Zhao, yeah, there are several authorities to influence the regulations, the language policy itself, whether they are policymaker, grassroots societies, and other. It means that we have to see find the data first before using the model. I think that's it. That's it.
Okay, so your model actually be able to be used when you have all the data.
Yeah.
So what actually I would like to know is this model be able to predict certain areas? Prof. Bambang mentioned previously about IKN, right?
Yeah.
So it is expected to be a city where a lot of government office there and also education and everything that has to do with the needs of the people who are going to live there, including market. You have explore market,
Yeah.
right? So I think, is it possible that your model can actually predict based on what the existing or maybe minimum data that you have in the
Yes.
field?
Yeah, it can be used to predict what kinds of effective regime, or maybe the existing effective regime produced from the signages found. That's why I collaborate from my data, including theory found, so the model can be designed like that.
Okay, so perhaps you can provide us a little bit of samples from what you have here.
Yeah.
Yeah, how to read this and use the model.
Okay, from the model started from the signages, yeah, from signages. When people see the signs, yeah, from the cognitive, from the performance, from behavior, and the locations, they can consider what kind of production or reproduction the effective regimes. So, human as the sector of the production can consider, oh, this is identity, because most of signages found like in Citraniaga using similar concept. That's why there is identity production of the effective regime itself. Actually, the signages, what I have said to you, is influenced by language policy, but still other resistant from the society to use the regulations. And the human as the receptor of the effective regime has indirect influence, like based on the authority, like Joe said in my summary book, they are policymaker, society, and so on, like that.
I see. So probably people can say the implication of this model, probably I can also say the society have probably ignored, no, maybe there's this very low awareness of language policy. And do you think that it would be possible that the signs would be more effective if they use foreign language instead of local language?
excuse me, could you repeat about the question?
Yes. So, do you think it is going to be more effective if the language used in signage and all the, for example, billboards or shop sign would be in English, in a foreign language, or other local language?
Based on my data findings, English is very, applicable to produce the production or production effective regime. Because beside that, about local language, based on my findings in Samarinda and Balikpapan, still difficult to find out the signages use local language, like in Java or Sumatra. That's the problems in Samarinda and Balikpapan, because Samarinda and Balikpapan are multicultural societies. That's why that's my problem actually, to consider what kinds of, the signages using local languages. They tend to use Indonesia and English. And even based on my interview with the government in Balikpapan, they think English is more popular, and from the shop owners in Balikpapan, they talk English is more remarkable, and they believe people know and understand about the meaning. It is, is very attractive than using local language. In addition, most of sellers or owners in Samarinda and Balikpapan are non-native people over there. They are coming from Java, from Sulawesi, from Sumatra. That's the problem. And in another interview, when I interview with one seller in Samarinda, actually in Citraniaga. Citraniaga is the souvenir shop area from Dayaknes. They are from Sulawesi. They said that why I asked about them about why didn't use local language as shopping names or using English. They think the target visitor is domestic than international. That's I think is different. The difficulties to find the real findings about the interview data. Yeah.
Thank you. So my last question is more into how would you be able to actually, this is the future of your integrated model. How would you be able to say teach this or introduce this model to
introduce this
model
to
people in applied linguistics, or maybe other people outside the linguistic discipline?
I understand about the model. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe after this, because I'm a lecturer like you, I will try to introduce through three dharma like pengabdian in masyarakat, and then introduce through article publications, and then I will make cooperations with the government Samarinda and Balikpapan city. As you know, in Samarinda now is still have a big project to rebuild the cities, especially in Pasar Pagi. I think it is a good chance for me to introduce about the model, and especially managing the language use for shop name, direction in the in the Pasar Pagi. I ever visited in Pasar Gede in Solo. There are three languages used: Indonesia, Java, and English. I think it is very interesting if it is applied in Samarinda too, because Samarinda is one of the satellite cities like Balikpapan. That's the potential, to attract people outside of Samarinda and Balikpapan, including welcoming to IKN Nusantara.
Wow, big dreams.
Yeah.
All right. I think that is all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibu
Aries.
Liana.
Thank you, Doctor. If Professor Dr. Setiono Sugiharto, the dissertation advisor, will ask any questions, please do so.
I just want to ask one question, and my question is related to Professor previous question. Okay, on the idea of affective regimes. influences language policy. Now, I think from your dissertation, you also distinguish the so-called top-down and bottom-up
Yeah.
language policy. Now, can you explain to us again, okay, how the affective regimes here can also affect language policy, particularly from the perspective of the resistance from the community?
All right, thank you, Prof. Yeah, based to explain about that, yeah, based on my data findings, yeah, the most of synergy spawn are dominated by bottom up. Yeah. Bottom up. So from the bottom up, it can make recommendations to the society, the governments to regulate the language policy itself. But what I have explained the model to recommend the language policy regulation. It depends on the Joe explained about the authority, whether the policymaker, expert or society. I think society can recommend about the regulation from the policymaker itself. So from that, the the effective regime, production or reproduction of effective regime can be created like that. Do you get the point, Prof?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Dr. Ana Marieta da Silva, the co-advisor, do you have any additional questions to us?
Thank you, Susila. Congratulations, Aries, for reaching the stage. So I only have one question. What's your plan to make language teachers in general can make use of your findings?
All right. For language teacher especially, maybe I will introduce about the linguistic landscape itself, about the what is the concept, and then from the concept and then from the data findings, yeah, I will show it to especially teacher in Samarinda and Balikpapan. Actually, this this data is useful as best authentic material to teach. Yeah. At this so far in Samarinda and Balikpapan, there is no local books, yeah, especially to teach English. They still depend on the Ministry of Education. So it's time to use my data actually from the synergies found in Samarinda and Balikpapan as the local authentic materials. And it is similar, it is aligned with the program of the Major of Samarinda at this time. Yeah, actually, he wants, yeah, to make a book based on the local languages. So I think it is good chance, yeah, to introduce this dissertation, my data, yeah, to input over in this book. Is it enough?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. Aries Utomo, the examination is now over.
Thank you.
This open academic session to examine our doctoral candidate is finished. Permit us now to have a short intermission to assess the examination results of Aries Utomo.
Thank you.
Hadirin yang terhormat, Rektor, Wakil Dekan, para penguji, promotor, ko-promotor, dan ketua sidang akan meninggalkan ruangan sidang selama 20 menit. Hadirin kami mohon berdiri. Hadirin yang kami muliakan, Rektor, Wakil Dekan, para penguji, promotor, ko-promotor, dan ketua sidang, kembali ke ruang sidang promosi. Hadirin dimohon berdiri. Hadirin dimohon duduk kembali. Promovendus Saudara Aries Utomo